Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of On the Gamely, the blue light of death of video game YouTube shows. I'm your host, Tyler Seelick, and this is my co-host,
Jacob,
who coincidentally is my only friend, and we're here again this week to talk about various video game-related issues that have happened over the past week, and maybe some older topics if it tickles our fancy. So, we'll be looking at our phone just because our notes are on there. Not because we're texting, because nobody texts
we're looking
us.
at that porn.
Yeah, we're looking at that porn. He's underage, so we're not looking at that porn. Anyway, settle down. Alright, so we'll start with Zelda. Let's throw out a little bit of stuff about there's a new Zelda game on the 3DS. A Link Between Worlds, or Two Worlds.
Link Between Worlds.
I should know this before I go on air, but I don't because I'm ill-prepared. Damn, I just rhymed. Anyway, so, new Zelda game, a throwback to A Link to the Past. But what are your thoughts on Zelda?
Well, first,
in general,
I'm guessing because the names are similar, it's like a sequel.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's like a direct sequel story-wise, because I don't really follow the Zelda stories. But it's a sequel. It's in ways, for sure.
I'm thinking, since this is the only new Zelda for 3DS, like, that isn't a remake, this is bringing people to the 3DS.
Yeah, people are already at the 3DS.
People are fanatic.
But I think that the Zelda it's a big release. I'm not a Zelda fan. I've never really been, and he isn't either. I got respect for Zelda. I think we talked about it last week to those who watched. There's a couple I like. Like, I did enjoy Ocarina of Time. I just don't love it. A Link to the Past was actually probably my favorite Zelda. So I'm mildly excited about this 3DS one, even though I probably won't buy it. Because, like I said, A Link to the Past is one of my favorite Zeldas. Yeah. You got something you want to say? You kind of looked like you did. Maybe you don't.
I'm saying it's bringing people to the 3DS. It's going to bring hype. Everyone I know is a fan of Zelda.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Every friend I have, it's like, I'm the one Final Fantasy fan, and they're all Legend of Zelda.
Well, that was the thing with me. Like, I have some good friends that are like big Zelda fans. I'll even shout them out. Tyler, my friend Tyler, not myself. He's a big Zelda fan, so I always make fun of him for his crappy taste, and he makes fun of me. It's exciting for a new Zelda, though. It's a good thing, regardless of the fact that we're not big fans. A new Zelda is always a good thing.
I'd like to see how the art changes, because Twilight Princess was that serious art style, and then
well, this is pretty much just like the Super Nintendo ones.
I love that Super Nintendo one.
Yeah. You got anything else?
They have cool graphics.
What do we got next?
Fallout. Survivor
2299?
Yeah, I think it's either 2055 or 2099.
Let's break it down for people, though, first. So a countdown pretty much showed up on... What was it? A new website?
Yeah, it was... because it's Bethesda, right?
Yes. Was it on their website, or did they make a new website?
They made a new website hosted by GoDaddy.com. And it has this like own like server stuff, but it was the only one to be hosted not by like one of their own things. And it features a countdown to December.
Yeah, something like 26 days or something. I don't know. There was a whole bunch of days. So now, basically, the gist of it is people are thinking, because I think there was something in the source code that mentioned Fallout by name. People are kind of thinking this is a new Fallout. So, what are your thoughts?
So I was going through the wikis of all the stories just to see. So I know that the last one was in Nevada, right?
Pretty
sure the wiki said it could revisit something like that. I know Fallout 4 was originally, like a long time ago, announced, and it was supposed to feature the Caesar League, but I think now it's taking a completely different turn. The wiki doesn't have much, but I know the only thing that was cool was the site featured a sound that was Morse code that just said the date of the release. And I thought that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm not... We're kind of starting it off on kind of a weird note because I'm not like a fanatic for Fallout either. I like Fallout though. Like I like it more than I like Zelda, even though they're totally unrelated. I own Fallout 3 and I have played it. I just never played it as much as I should have. And I've played Fallout 2, which is entirely different than Fallout 3 because it was one of those old school PC RPGs. And I did play Fallout 2 and I enjoyed that as well. With that said, I'm pretty excited if this is a new Fallout because it'll be next gen, I'm sure. So we'll get to see where Fallout's going, and I do like I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic worlds. I always have been. It doesn't matter how many games I play or books I read or movies I see that have post-apocalyptic worlds. I'm always into them.
I know. I really love the story, but wasn't into Fallout 3. But New Vegas looked interesting, and I know a character I think from New Vegas was hinted at, like. A dude that was in what I think it was called New Galaxy Radio. He's hinted to be like a character returning. I don't know if he's like the main protagonist or he's just a random character, but I know that's all the wiki hinted at.
So
spoilers.
So I guess in closing, fans of Fallout may have a new Fallout coming, maybe not. You're gonna have to find the website because I don't know the address off the top of my head.
Truly, though. A hosting of GoDaddy seems kind of like a troll.
Yeah.
Someone said that, they could just be trolling us, but it was a cool website.
Yeah, I can't imagine any game companies trolling anyone. I'm looking at you, Valve.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess that's all we got to say about that. All right. This is for my brother here. Tell me about Kingdom Hearts 3.
See, I didn't actually play the first, but I was in love with the second one. I do not remember the ending to the second one, but I know now it's been about a decade since we've seen like a major Kingdom Hearts. Not talking prequel like Birth by Sleep, but I know it's making some outrage because they could have possibly new voice actors.
Yeah,
which I don't think it hinted at who. But that could be some big news.
Been a long time since a core Kingdom Hearts. Like I know you were saying there's been prequels and shit, but it's been a long time since Kingdom Hearts 2. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting for those. I guess any talk about Kingdom Hearts 3 is exciting for the fans. This one I'm actually not a fan of because I've actually never played Kingdom Hearts. I like the idea of, like, the Disney Square Enix team up. I do like the idea of that, but I just, for whatever reason, it was just never a series I felt like getting into. Mm-hmm. But, I got no...
Kingdom Hearts 2 probably ranks among top, like, games I like. Has good music.
Yeah.
This
guy's right into music.
Ranks around Final Fantasy X. It's, like, a different feel, though. I don't know how to describe the feel of it, but it's different.
It's different?
It's more mysterious, but sad at the same time.
What else? You got anything else to say about that? Because we're moving on.
It's for RPG fans, it's a big release.
For RPG fans, it is a big release.
That will be huge. I don't think there's not much else. The release date, I think they said was possibly being moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be like 2015 before we fully see it, because
so it's kind of like Battlefront 3. I have that game pre-ordered, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't come out till 2015.
The producers said they were unhappy with the way the game looked.
Yeah,
but you know what? No matter what, I think it will look beautiful. Even Kingdom Hearts 2 looked amazing.
We got that optimism here. You're laying down that positive.
And they were sad. They made me shed liquid pride over them.
Liquid pride. Anything else? Let's keep this train moving. I do a lot of hand movements when I'm on these videos. Anyway. Okay. So next topic is something that's near and dear to my heart. You can probably see it, but I got a Foxhound hoodie. I'm going to talk Metal Gear Solid 5, also known as Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero, also known as Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. Recently, they kind of announced the Deja Vu missions, exclusive for PS4. Details are a little sketchy on it, but from what I can gather, you just kind of relive moments from Metal Gear Solid, even complete with the shitty PlayStation 1 graphics.
Though they're remastered a bit to look.
Well, yeah, mastered a bit, and the animations and stuff were more fluid, I think.
Isn't it? From what the trailer looked at, like when you triggered something, you'd still be kind of playing as the character. Well, because that one scene where you see Big Boss crawling, it looks like the surroundings are still like Metal Gear Solid 5, but you're just this weird PlayStation 1 character. Just
he hasn't really gotten into Metal Gear, but I'm a big fan, and I'm continuing my sort of negative Nancy vibe I'm throwing off here this video because I haven't really been in love with any of the news so far. I've been kind of mild on everything. This I'm actually not really looking forward to. I'm all for Kojima throwing old school fans like a bone and being like, hey, look everybody, here's the crappy graphics Solid Snake for you. But that doesn't really do it for me. It's like, I can go back and play the old ones. With that said, I like throwbacks in Metal Gear Solid 4 when this is a spoiler, but whatever, it's been years. When you go back to Shadow Moses in Metal Gear Solid 4, that is a wonderful, awe-inspiring, emotional moment. But it doesn't rely... Well, no, that's not true. It relies on nostalgia a bit. But it makes sense within context of the game. This doesn't even make sense. It's Deja Vu. Oh, no, I guess it could make sense. Because they're Big Boss and Snake kind of go through similar things, I guess. But, it literally hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
But I guess in sense of story, it can make a little bit of sense. But with that said, I'm just not really excited for the Deja Vu missions. I'm super pumped for the game, but not the Deja Vu missions.
See, I like the idea.
He likes the idea.
So I like flashbacks when they're cool, but that cool thing where you'll be able to actually play around with it, and it's like a nostalgia effect of being crappy graphics. Because it just interests me instead of just a simple flashback with updated graphics. I think it sounds like an awesome idea. One
thing though that it kind of popped into my head now. I never even thought of this. I do kind of like though how, like I said before, since Solid Snake's a clone of Big Boss, it only makes sense. I don't even know how to word it. It's like they do go through very similar things. So to have it kind of flash between the two of them makes sense because they're related and they have similar paths through life in a lot of ways. So to have them kind of go back and forth like that could be a very cinematic, powerful thing. But as for reliving Metal Gear Solid and whatnot, if that's what I don't really need to. I've played the game a bunch of times and whatever. Anyway, you got anything else you want to say about old Metal Gear? With that said, it'll be my game of the year next year because I'm a fanatic. So I got that bias. So it'll be my favorite game of the year. Sucks for any other game that comes out because you'll never be Metal Gear. Alright, moving on. So, recently the developers of the game Thief, the new Thief, not the first Thief or the second Thief, have said that they're removing QuickTime events from the games because, basically, in a nutshell, everybody hated the idea.
And the developer said there weren't enough in the original one to keep it in the E3 demo. That was an hour long. There was maybe one you could do.
Yeah. You want to start on your QuickTime event opinion, or do you want me to get her going?
I like the idea of QuickTime events, but an overkill of them will get annoying.
Yes.
But having like once in a while are nice.
Yeah, I got no beef with them once in a while. Some games are heavily reliant on them. Like David Cage games are very heavy on QuickTime events and whatnot. You know, they're not the worst thing to happen. They're not great, but once in a while, they're not a feature that I'll miss if they take them out of games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a feature that I hate either. They're just kind of there, I guess. That's pretty much all I gotta say about that. What do you got? Anything else? No?
Good.
Alright, let's move on to the Ouya. Neither one of us own an Ouya.
I would like to.
I thought the idea was neat, but the launch and everything else has been kind of not so impressive about it. But it's still an interesting idea. But anyway, the Towerfall. The news is that Towerfall is going to the PS4. Which all I can really say is that it's like, that's what Ouya had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm ignorant towards Ouya. They might have some other great games that I haven't played, don't get me wrong.
Since they're an Android-based system,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, I think, Android-exclusive games that would be fun.
But I mean, Towerfall was one of them games that you heard about, even if you didn't play it. Like, I never played it. But I will get the chance to now, if my PS4 ever shows up. But, with that said, I don't even know if I want to play it. Do you know anything about Towerfall?
I thought it was a bunch of dudes like running around with like bows and stuff.
Yeah, they run around with bows. The multiplayer looks kind of fun. The single player doesn't really seem like it's my thing, but apparently it's fun because a lot of people really dig it. So it's big news for the PS4, regardless of what I think. Anything else you want to throw down on? We're going right through here. Let's talk about recent comments by, I think it was Sony's president, I believe,
yeah,
who expressed some views on Nintendo and what they're trying to do. I guess in a nutshell, they said that video games need Nintendo because Nintendo will get non-gamers into games, which is true. And he also said that he doesn't really know what they were trying to accomplish with the Wii U. They kind of tried to pull in the core gamers, but he feels like they should have stuck to the more family-friendly type of games, which is just a nice way to say kid-friendly. Mm-hmm. No one says family-friendly unless they mean kids games. But you got anything to say on?
Well, see, it links to last week's thing when Nintendo said they needed the other big players. So it's really all just means that every company needs each other.
Competition is
when
good.
Everyone's bashing on the Wii, Sony needs the Wii.
Yeah, because really though, Nintendo they do have that focus on kids, family-friendly games. I get family-friendly in the sense that Mario's not really a kid's game, but it is a game that a lot of people enjoy, so I guess family-friendly, but I don't agree that they should stick to only family-friendly games out. Like, they don't have to go... I mean, it would be nice to have some really dark games, but they don't need to go, like, Manhunt dark. Like, they got, like, Bayonetta 2 coming out, which is more adult in tone. I want them to bring out games for everybody. Like, not just kids and stuff. So I don't really agree with the Sony president in that sense, but I do agree that Nintendo will bring non-gamers to games. Mm-hmm. If they can get their marketing straightened out and people actually know what the Wii U is. Because they seem to have a hard time with that.
Yeah, it's going to change when some big AAA titles come.
Then we got Mario in a few days. look forward to a review of that at some point on Gamecepticon. But, yeah. You have anything else to say on that?
Nope.
Alright, here's a...
But I do agree with what you said.
He agrees. It's good because I was going to punch him if he didn't. Here's a topic that kind of came to my attention, not because it was news, but my older brother mentioned that people were arguing in a Sony article about why Nintendo sucks, and they talked about like trophies and gamer scores and whatnot, and Nintendo doesn't really have a focus on that kind of thing, whereas like I think especially with Microsoft gamers, the gamer score is a bigger deal because it's right there by your name, right? It's like here's my gamer score. Sony does have their trophies and whatnot, but my question to you is: are trophies and gamer scores important, or are they a useless feature?
Well, first, would you not say that like Nintendo focuses less on competitiveness than the other two? Because the other two have like titles like Call of Duty and Battlefield, which encourages competition, while Nintendo does have a huge like focus on more like single player story based games.
Yeah, but they have their competition too, because even their excuse me, I'm burping a lot. It's Pepsi, sponsored by Pepsi. Even the new Mario games and stuff are multiplayer, and you can go through them not screwing each other over. But if you listen to anyone who plays those games with friends, you are constantly trying to screw each other over in those games. And I think that was a decision by Nintendo to kind of make it like that. But to a degree, you're definitely right. It's not... They don't focus as much. They focus more on a nice community rather than being competitive, I think.
With the... Like, before I get into mine... But, like, I guess, like, the PlayStation 2 generation didn't have, like, that online trophy system, but a lot of games still had, like, skill points and unlockable characters.
Yeah, but...
Which is kind of, like, what that was. Like, the skill points are really...
skill points and unlockable characters, though, they add something to the actual gameplay.
But skill points kind of like what achievements were. Because achievements still give you points.
See... Yeah, but those points don't do anything. Like, the gamer score doesn't do anything.
It's true.
So apparently we got a slight disagreement here, which is good. Because I personally think they're useless. I don't know how else to say it. Don't get me wrong. They're not useless because they do have some uses. They do encourage you to replay games to try to get different things. So in that sense, they're useful, but that's not really my thing. And what bothers me is, like, if you are playing with some people, and these are only the knobs, this isn't everybody who pays attention to their gamer score or whatever, but you get these people who are like, dude, my gamer score is like 100,000, and yours is only 2,000. It's like, you're not even much of a gamer. But it's like, I literally play more games than they do. I just don't play those games and try to unlock every achievement.
Well, most, like, achievements of their multiplayer game are focused on just doing, like, really tedious tasks. Or completing a game on, like, 100%ing it on the hardest difficulty. Things that you wouldn't really need to do.
Yeah. And some people say that the gamer score is not too much different than, like, the old school point system in games.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing a game and you look at your point score and stuff. But I would kind of argue that the point score was cool for, like, arcade games and whatnot. And your one playthrough, you would see how many points you got. And it really was something to brag about.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, gamer scores is just, like, you could just sit and play the same game for months and get all the achievements. Which, don't get me wrong, some of those achievements are hard as balls to get. And if you can do it, that's great. But to me, that old school point arcade system is more to brag about than getting gamer score. Like, I personally don't focus at all on whatever achievements I unlock throughout the game is great. But unless they actually affect my gameplay, then I'm really not paying too much attention.
I don't know if they're cool because when they first started, they're interesting. But I don't. It's kind of like a yay or nay if they show talent. Because I have people that try to say they have more talent than me. But half the achievements I see now are just like starting up your game gives you one, starting the level gives you one, completing it gives you one, shooting someone, and it's like some of them you're just handed. So if they were actually just things like get a nuke in Modern Warfare 3 or something, that would actually show skill, because that takes a lot. I like the idea of them, but when they're kind of handed to you most of the time, and I don't really think that they're not that needed.
Mm-hmm. They're not really achievements when they're being handed to you.
Yeah. I don't know much about the trophies. I'm guessing really
it's really the same type of thing.
Are you handed them?
No, on a lot of occasions, yeah. Anything else? Alright. This is something that I was going to talk about this from the moment I saw it, but I was hoping to have a more in-depth opinion, but I can't because my PS4 isn't here, so thus my Killzone Shadowfall sits unplayed. But I will still talk about this a little bit. It's kind of a thing about bias and where you approach games if you're a reviewer. I see, like, and this is mostly first-person shooters and other competitive games, multiplayer games, where you know the focus is multiplayer because that's why people are really going to it. I've been seeing reviews lately. Battlefield 4, I remember seeing a review. I don't know if Ghosts got this as much, but I'm seeing it on the new Killzone. I don't know if, like, any of the Halos get it or not. But all these multiplayer shooters where you know they're going, where fans are going mostly for multiplayer, they may play the single player. But this is taking me a long time to get to my my question. These reviews are putting a lot of emphasis on the single player for these multiplayer focused games. And my question pretty much is, like, 'cause scores are going down because of this. And my question to you is, if you are reviewing a game and you know that the focus is multiplayer, do you put when deciding your final score and what you write or say about the game, do you put more focus on the multiplayer, or do you kind of treat the review as every aspect of the game is created equal, so thus your score reflects no real bias towards any mode, or does your review express bias towards multiplayer? I don't know if I worded that right. I kind of got a little wordy there, but you know what I'm saying because we talked briefly about this.
I think I'm going to talk about the 4 major players you described, but I think it's like a split. Because Call of Duty and Battlefield, if you watch their trailers, it's really just showing you just multiplayer.
Yeah.
But every Halo trailer really focuses on the story.
Yeah.
So I think Halo would be a game that I think my review would be story, because a lot of people, I think, go to Halo for the story. But I can't really say much about Killzone.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone talk about the story. So I'll say that seems like a more multiplayer driven, but I guess for like I said, Call of Duty and Battlefield, that's all the trailers is multiplayer. So I think I would probably just focus on the part that everyone cares about. I never hear anyone go down the street and tell me how, like, how connected they were to, like, Call of Duty story or Battlefield's.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry to cut you off. You can keep going, but it's kind of like some of these games, like Okay, we'll go Battlefield and or Call of Duty. I keep calling it Modern Warfare. It's kind of like, say you're reviewing Battlefield. Like, I too would focus more on the multiplayer, and I would give more weight towards the final score on the multiplayer. Like, say if the multiplayer is really good in Battlefield 4, which I still have been unable to play it, but apparently a lot of other people can't play it either. If the multiplayer is fantastic and the single player sucks, I'm still going to give it, like, a 9 like if the multiplayer is fantastic, because that's why you're going to that game. And the single player is, you should definitely deduct points and talk about the story. But like some people would take like 3 points off for a shitty story in Battlefield, whereas I might take 0.5 or 1. If you know what I'm saying. And Killzone is the one that's near and dear to my heart. Killzone has always had sort of a focus on story in a way, because they have a fantastic story underneath it all that they don't tell very well in the games. But if you read about the story, it's a really interesting story, war story. But they don't always tell it the best. So with that said, when I do my review for Killzone, if I love the multiplayer, it's going to get a high score.
Yeah.
If I don't love the multiplayer, I'll knock like a few points off of it. Because Killzone to me is a multiplayer shooter. Whereas a game like Halo, where you mentioned, Halo is a game I treat all aspects a little more equally.
Yeah.
Because I actually bought Halos a lot for the co-op, like, story, right? Yeah. But I played a lot of multiplayer, too. But yeah, I would definitely treat the story and multiplayer a little more equal in Halo. But that's what I wanted to discuss, because it's like, I mean, not that any of these games are getting terrible reviews. Battlefield still got like 8s and probably some 9s. And Killzone they've been a little harder on. Some sites giving it a 7. Some gave it an 8 and whatnot. So these aren't bad scores by any means. But like I'm saying, if I'm loving Killzone, it's like the multiplayer, it's going to get like a 9 or a 9.5, right? Because that's what I go to, right? And a lot of people are the same way. Some people won't play campaigns on some of these games. They'll just go right to the multiplayer. But yeah, what you got any... I only meant to make a quick point, but I kind of rambled there for a bit.
No, I think
But I remember you did want to mention the COD Ghost campaign a little bit, though. Speaking of...
mention it all together. I'm not going to give spoilers, but it's like a mini review. It's just me saying that I think they upped the game, because I don't fully remember Black Ops story, and I'm thinking Modern Warfare is just a straightforward war story, right? Just some soldiers kind of going in and out and fighting.
I've never found the Modern Warfare series to have good stories, but they have the campaign, especially Modern Warfare 2, has wonderful action set pieces. Like, cause you do, I mean, the Call of Duty or the Modern Warfare 2 campaign's very short, but they pack in a lot of action set pieces within those couple hours, which does make the single player a little bit thrilling.
Yeah, I know Ghost like upped it because it got more of a personal story. You follow like a family of 3.
Okay.
And you follow kind of like a connection between a father and 2 sons.
Yep.
And there's just a lot more going on than just a war. There's some crazy enemies that aren't for once just Russians. Because I actually believe, reading the story, there wasn't much talk of Russians in it. It was a whole different army, and it actually had an army kind of, like, I guess Modern Warfare 3 had, like, Russia attacking and trying to take out America, but America was actually being brought to its front lines.
Yep.
And a lot of, like, the story seemed to just be a lot more in-depth and personal. And I can say the game overall sounds good. It has new game modes that are based, like one that's like Hunger Games and stuff. Starting out with just barely anything and crates like drop.
Yeah.
So the game sounds like a pretty solid Call of Duty.
Yeah, I'm still not really into the idea of playing it, but I might at some point.
Extinction, to me, it had like a few ups to zombies that sound like it, because I think you could drop like things that you could do in Modern Warfare. You could drop like crates and people could pick up like ammo and stuff. Mm-hmm. Instead of, I think, getting stuff off the walls. But I mean, that and just normal multiplayer doesn't sound any different.
No, and we talked about this last week, the people who love Call of Duty are gonna love Ghosts. You know, I pieced out of it after Modern Warfare, like the last one. So I haven't been really out of Call of Duty. It's just I got away from it for a while, and then when I picked it up and played it a little bit, and I just couldn't get into it anymore. Like, it was just like I just couldn't. So I can't call myself a COD fan anymore. I was never like a fanatic, and I was never super into it.
Mm-hmm.
But especially with Modern Warfare 3, the fact you could have split screen online, so when a friend comes over, we'd have something to do, and we could spend a bunch of hours. That was always a good thing with Halo for me as well. A friend comes over, you split screen, and it gives you something to do. I did appreciate that aspect of Modern Warfare 3, which is really the main reason why I ended up buying it, to be honest, so I could play with friends. But not a COD fan.
I got a topic for you.
Good, throw it at me, because that was our last topic, but apparently not.
Alright, so I have a game to talk about, but I want you to talk about other ones that are like it. Games that are released that are just really highly buggy, and like it seems like they're just, like, I guess I might as well go into, like, Pokemon, right? X and Y came out, watching a video about, like, a bunch of mysteries in it, but they almost seem like they're not, like Nintendo forgot, or whoever forgot about them, and they're supposed to be, like, they're not supposed to be there yet. They're, like, event type things that should be, like, because, you know, Pokemon now works by, like, a certain time of season or something. You go and you do something, but there's a lot of, like, weird things. You get, like, the Ghost Girl has no importance. There's a bunch of random notes. You go behind places and someone tells you to meet you there. There's, if you check, there's a bunch of places that have things that have weird Pokemon designs and entries that aren't yet Pokemon. And I'm wondering what you think about, like, do you know any games that are like that?
So you're talking more like interesting glitches and bugs
that aren't
rather than straight up bugs. Because the first thing I thought of when you said bugs was this. I did a review. I think it's the last post on GameSepticon. I did a review for an indie game called Two Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful game. It's a wonderful, wonderful retro-inspired game. And I rated it like an 8.5 or something. But I knocked it down 0.5 or so because the bugs were terrible, like games crashing and stuff. But apparently, so that's the first game I thought of when you said that, but then you started going on about, like, we're not talking the same bugs here.
But I mean, like, it's unpolished, like, they shouldn't be in there yet.
Yeah. But, you know, I kind of like those things.
Yeah, they're interesting.
The Final Fantasy VII, we're going back now. Final Fantasy VII didn't really have a whole ton of things that were openly out there that you could see. But I remember going on a website, I can't remember what it was called, and I've gone on there a few times, not recently, where people went into the code and, like, they hacked it and stuff, and they started going through all the code, and they started discovering all these little things that Squaresoft, because they were still Squaresoft then, yes, that Squaresoft was gonna put in the game, but then they didn't, and they just left the code there. Yeah. And I like those types of little mysteries. Yeah, it's a little unpolished. I mean, Final Fantasy VII was not unpolished except for some of the translation and whatnot, because really you couldn't access these things without hacking it. And Pokemon, it doesn't seem that way. So in that sense, yeah, that's a little unpolished, unless they meant to do it, which we don't know. But I like those little mysteries about games. Like, I love going on websites and seeing people go into games and find all these little tidbits of what could have been or what they were going to do that they never ended up doing.
Now, they could just be Easter eggs.
Eggs.
But some of them just seem like it's an event that, like, not really a DLC type thing, but you'd have to, like, download, because you could download things in your Pokemon, like, you get, like, certain Pokemon and they'll open a cave. Like, there just seems to be certain things that you need a certain legendary to open, and it's like it really has. There's like that video. I've never seen a Pokemon game that has like that many just things that make absolutely no sense. You find notes like that tell you to come here at the usual place, and it's like what? But other games that did, I think Ratchet and Clank had the coolest. That's not that it wasn't like Pokemon, but what they did with like that kind of stuff is, I don't know if you ever knew about it, the Insomniac Museum.
No.
You visit at a certain time, like I think 2 a.m., and you go to this museum and it has everything that was supposed to be in the game, and you can use it like
nice.
you could go drive a tank around that you're supposed to. You can use like you could shrink it, and there were crazy things. I wish more games would do something like that.
Yeah, I like things like that. Since we're not talking bugs, like legit game-breaking bugs,
Yeah.
I do like. I can't think of games right off the top of my head that do it, but I mean, there's all kinds of funny things. Funny, like remember that? Like it was in the Sherlock Holmes game, the Scary Watson. Or
yeah, because they never bothered to put a walking sequence, and I think someone actually may have made an indie game where you just run around, he pops up everywhere.
So it's kind of like a Slender. Yeah. But yeah, like those kind of funny game glitches and other but that's more of a glitch than whatever. But yeah, some of that stuff makes games interesting.
Another Pokemon one that's perfect. I don't know if you can actually get it, but it's like so infamous, the missing no, if you know what it is. You go through your walk through walls type thing, you go to random places and a Pokemon comes up, they have like a black sprite and they're just nothing, but you can catch it, and they're tagged as missing nose because there's a whole creepypasta based on them. Won't get into that, but certain game bugs are just really cool like that.
Yep.
Can't think of any other major ones.
Well, if you can't think of any other major ones, you got anything else that needs to be, any topics? Because that was a topic that we actually hadn't agreed to talk about, but he threw it at me. So it's kind of making the video a little longer than I anticipated, but if you got nothing else, we should probably wrap this bad boy up for another week. Nothing else? Yeah, so I guess thanks for watching another long, but probably not as long as the last one, episode of On the Gamely. Yeah, with the show where we just talk about games and you listen or X out of the window.
I hope you didn't dehydrate or get hungry from watching us.
Last week I hurt my throat because we talked too much and it was just getting scratchy, so this time I'm staying hydrated even though it's pop.
When you're
it's really not.
Next time you're with us, get some donuts.
Should have some water. But anyway, so thanks for watching. And if you got the PS4, I don't like you, but I hope you enjoy it, because I'm still waiting. And if you're going to get... I know we don't really talk that much about Microsoft, because, to be honest, I don't think either of us are going to have an Xbox One for a long time. It's not that we... whatever. But if you're getting an Xbox One this coming Friday, I hope it doesn't break, and I hope you enjoy it. And you got any comments or criticisms, insults, concerns, or anything that you want to get off your chest, send that over to someone else, because we don't care. Or you can write in the YouTube comments. Go on gamesepticon.blogspot.ca. I think I screwed up my own URL. I may have.
Is it .com?
Is it .com? I don't know. The link's going to be down there, though.
Yeah, it's down there.
And this is a long outro. But yeah.
Peace off.
Thanks for watching us, and we will see you again next week, unless the console war ends up destroying everybody. This is the first day of the rest of our lives. what's her show called?
On the Gamely.
Yeah, I'm out. I quit.
Guest appearance by Abby.
All right.
Don't
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. We doing this?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm in my thinking stance.
See, it's harder for me because I'm the one that has to start it.
Yeah, we're like the PS4. We break things.
The PS4 doesn't break
We're like-
things; it breaks itself.
We're like Sony. We break other people.
We break other people's hopes and dreams. See you again next week, unless the console war ends up destroying everybody.
Everyone I know is a fan of Zelda. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
every friend I have, it's
It's-
like I'm the one Final Fantasy fan, and they're all Legend of Zelda.
Well, that was the thing with me. Like, I have some good friends that are like big Zelda fans. I'll even shout them out. Tyler, my friend Tyler, not myself. He's a big Zelda fan, so I always make fun of him for his crappy taste, and he makes fun of me. It's exciting for a new Zelda, though. It's a good thing, regardless of the fact that we're not big fans. A new Zelda is always a good thing.
I'd like to see how the art changes, because Twilight Princess was that serious art style, and then
Yeah. Well, this is pretty much just like the Super Nintendo ones.
I love that Super Nintendo one.
Yeah. You got anything else?
They have cool graphics.
What do we got next?
Fallout. Survivor.
2299.
Yeah,
was
I
it?
think it's either 2055, 29.
Let's break it down for people though first. So so a countdown pretty much showed up on, what was it? A new website?
Yeah, it was because it's Bethesda, right?
Yes. What are your thoughts on Zelda
Well, first,
in general?
I'm guessing because the names are similar, it's like a sequel.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's like a direct sequel story-wise, because I don't really follow the Zelda stories. But it's a sequel. It's in ways, for sure.
I'm thinking, since this is the only new Zelda for 3DS, like, that isn't a remake, this is bringing people to the 3DS.
Yeah, people are already at the 3DS.
People are fanatic.
But I think that the Zelda it's a big release. I'm not a Zelda fan. I've never really been, and he isn't either. I got respect for Zelda. I think we talked about it last week to those who watched. There's a couple I like. Like I did enjoy Ocarina of Time. I just don't love it. A Link to the Past was actually probably my favorite Zelda. So I'm mildly excited about this 3DS one, even though I probably won't buy it, because, like I said, A Link to the Past is one of my favorite Zeldas. Yeah, you got something you want to say? You kind of looked like you did. Maybe you don't.
I'm saying it's bringing people to the 3DS. It's going to bring hype.
Was it on their website, or did they make a new website?
They made a new website hosted by GoDaddy.com. And it has its like own like server stuff, but it was the only one to be hosted not by like one of their own things. And it features a countdown to December.
Yeah, something like 26 days or something. I don't know. There was a whole bunch of days. So now, basically, the gist of it is people are thinking, because I think there was something in the source code that mentioned Fallout by name. People are kind of thinking this is a new Fallout. So, what are your thoughts?
So I was going through the wikis of all the stories just to see. So I know that the last one was in Nevada, right? Pretty sure the wiki said it could revisit something like that. I know Fallout 4 was originally, like a long time ago, announced, and it was supposed to feature the Caesar League, but I think now it's taking a completely different turn. The wiki doesn't have much, but I know the only thing that was cool was the site featured a sound that was Morse code that just said the date of the release, and I thought that was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm not. We're kind of starting it off on kind of a weird note, because I'm not like a fanatic for Fallout either. I I like Fallout though. Like I like it more than I like Zelda, even though they're totally unrelated. I own Fallout 3 and I have played it. I just never played it as much as I should have. And I've played Fallout 2, which is entirely different than Fallout 3 because it was one of those old school PC RPGs. And I did play Fallout 2 and I enjoyed that as well. With that said, I'm pretty excited if this is a new Fallout because it'll be next gen, I'm sure. So we'll get to see where Fallout's going. And I do like I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic worlds. I always have been. It doesn't matter how many games I play or books I read or movies I see that have post-apocalyptic worlds. I'm always into them.
I know. I really love the story, but wasn't into Fallout 3. But New Vegas looked interesting, and I know a character I think from New Vegas was hinted at, like a dude that was in what I think it was called New Galaxy Radio. He's hinted to be like a character returning. I don't know if he's like the main protagonist or he's just a random character, but I know that's all the wiki hinted at.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of On the Gamely, the blue light of death of video game YouTube shows. I'm your host, Tyler Seelick, and this is my co-host,
Jacob,
who coincidentally is my only friend, and we're here again this week to talk about various video game related issues that have happened over the past week, and maybe some older topics if it tickles our fancy. So, we'll be looking at our phone just because our notes are on there. Not because we're texting, because nobody texts us.
We're looking at that porn.
Yeah, we're looking at that porn. He's underage, so we're not looking at that porn. Anyway, settle down. Alright, so we'll start with Zelda. Let's throw out a little bit of stuff about there's a new Zelda game on the 3DS. A Link Between Worlds, or Two Worlds.
Link Between Worlds.
I should know this before I go on air, but I don't because I'm ill-prepared. Damn, I just rhymed. Anyway, so, new Zelda game, a throwback to A Link to the Past, but